A man named John Edward Jones once entered a cave near Utah Lake, eager to explore. What began as an adventurous trip turned into a tragic nightmare. During the expedition, he tried to push his limits by going through one of the narrowest sections of the cave. But that choice, made with excitement, would tragically become the final decision of his life. As he crawled deeper through tight passageways, he unknowingly took a wrong path. One that led him into an uncharted crevice, so tight it was nearly impossible to breathe or even move his arms. He became trapped, headfirst, upside down, in a place darker and tighter than a coffin. This is the heartbreaking story of 26-year-old John Edward Jones, who spent the last 27 hours of his life stuck inside Nutty. Just outside Salt Lake City, Utah, lies a rugged terrain that houses Nutty Putty Cave, a hydrothermal cave system discovered in 1960 by Dale Green. Ever since, it became a magnet for adventure lovers, drawing thousands of visitors looking to test their limits. Nutty Putty became known for its winding, slick, and incredibly narrow tunnels. Its single entry point is only about 30 inches wide, barely wide enough for someone with a small waist and chest to squeeze through. Each year, close to 20,000 people made their way inside. But between 1999 and 2004, a number of alarming incidents raised serious concerns. One 23-year-old got stuck for 8 hours. In another case, someone spent an entire night trapped upside down. After multiple rescues, the cave was shut down in 2006. Experts debated. Should the cave be closed permanently or simply restricted to trained spelunkers? While some argued for tighter regulations, others believed Nutty Putty was too risky to be open at all. Eventually, in 2007, the cave reopened, but with strict guidelines. A committee was formed to oversee access. Permits were now required, and only experienced cavers with proper gear would be allowed. Applications had to be submitted 3 weeks in advance. That's exactly what John and his younger brother, Josh Jones, did. On the evening of November 24th, 2009, at around 8 p.m., John entered the cave with a small group. Though both brothers had previous caving experience, this was their first time in Nutty Putty. They began by exploring the main chamber, known as the Big Slide. Everything went smoothly until the group decided to take on a tougher challenge, navigating toward the birth canal, one of the tightest and riskiest sections of the entire cave. The birth canal is notorious, not only for being extremely narrow, but also for being hard to find. Many have gotten disoriented trying to reach it. John, in high spirits, led the group deeper into the passageways. Crawling forward on his stomach, he believed he was on the correct path. But he had unknowingly taken a wrong turn, into a part of the cave even more dangerous, a tight shaft called the corkscrew. This path was designed only for the thinnest and most experienced cavers. According to the cave maps, John should have veered right, but instead, he went left. The tunnel narrowed quickly. It became so tight he couldn't turn around. But he pressed on, thinking it would open up ahead. He spotted a slope and assumed he could use it to reposition himself. As he slid downward into a space just 10 inches high and 18 inches wide, roughly the size of a washing machine, he found himself completely stuck. His body was wedged upside down, his arms trapped at his sides, unable to move. John struggled to free himself, but had no success. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, he began shouting for help. Josh was the first to reach him, and initially thought John was joking. But as soon as he saw only his brother's legs sticking out, he knew it was serious. He tried pulling him back, but that only made things worse. John slid deeper into the crevice. Knowing they needed outside help, Josh left the cave to call emergency services. There was no phone signal inside. He returned to stay by his brother's side as they waited. Around 3 hours later, the first rescue team arrived, led by caver Susie Matola. She spent over 2 hours trying to help John, but the situation was worse than expected. She even attempted to cut away parts of his jeans to create more space. Just half a centimeter might have helped, but nothing worked. Exhausted, she had to exit. Outside the cave, a crowd was gathering. Over 30 rescuers, John's wife Emily, their 13-month-old daughter, and family members. Plans were made, including the desperate idea of amputating John's legs. But rescuers eventually decided to set up a pulley system, drilling bolts into the rock walls to pull John out carefully. This task came with high risk. Any disturbance could trigger a collapse. While they drilled, some rocks broke loose and fell onto John. Working in such confined conditions, nearly 700 feet underground, was extremely difficult. Only one rescuer could be inside with him at a time. Over 100 rescuers were now involved, but most could only wait and hope. Adding to the pressure, a doctor warned that John's upside-down position meant his life expectancy was limited. The human body isn't built to be inverted for long periods. Gravity was forcing blood to rush toward his brain and upper body, while his heart struggled to push it back down. This could cause organ failure or a fatal heart attack. Knowing this, rescuers pushed forward. After hours of intense effort, the pulley system was ready. They tied ropes to John's legs and started pulling. The narrow space made it hard. His legs hit the cave ceiling repeatedly, but slowly they made progress. For the first time in 19 hours, rescuers could see his face. One said John's eyes were bloodshot, but he looked hopeful. He believed he was close to freedom. But just when they were inches from pulling him out, tragedy struck. The pulley anchor suddenly gave way. John slipped back to the position he'd been stuck in for nearly a full day. Tension filled the air. A two-way radio was passed to him so he could speak with his wife. That brief conversation gave him comfort. Another rescue attempt was planned, but time was running out. The rescuers worked with extreme caution. Inch by inch, they managed to reposition him again. His face became visible a second time. The toe, then heartbreak struck again. The pulley system failed once more. John was pulled back into the same deadly trap. As a last resort, rescuers tried drilling around him to break the rock, but it was already too late. John stopped responding. His wife tried speaking through the radio. There was no reply. A paramedic squeezed into the tunnel one last time and checked his pulse. At 11:50 p.m. on November 25, 2009, John Edward Jones was pronounced dead. His wife was devastated. For hours, she hoped there had been a mistake, but the reality was undeniable. Against all odds, John had survived 17 hours longer than medical experts predicted. Were made to retrieve his body, even considering breaking it apart. But ultimately, it was decided that the safest option was to leave him there. Nutty Putty Cave was sealed permanently, making it John's final resting place. Today, his body still lies deep inside that cave. A plaque now stands at the site in his memory, a haunting symbol of the risks that come with exploring the unknown. Thanks for watching this Zim Voice presentation. If this story moved you, please like and share the video.